Trapped in a bank heist. Yesterday morning, I went to the local bank to deposit a check my grandma has sent me. As I was standing by the teller, waiting for her to deposit the check into my account, I heard someone come through the double doors. This might sound dorky, but ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to be an undercover agent for the FBI, and while that's not the field I ended up in, I like to play games in my mind. One of these games is to always be aware of who is in the room. So when I heard the double doors open, I looked over my shoulder to see a tall African-American man with dreads. The dreads caught my attention because they looked to be poorly taken care of and made his hair really poof out. I turned back to the teller, and the man came up beside me and started throwing wadded up plastic shopping bags at the teller. My teller made eye contact with me and awkwardly chuckled as if she thought it was some poorly done joke. But then the man started shouting at them to put money in the bags. In one leap, he jumped onto the counter, which in hindsight was impressive because it's nearly 5 feet high, and over to where the tellers were standing, but as he jumped up, he hit his head on the ceiling, knocking his wig and glasses off. I just stood there staring, half in shock, and half because I wanted to be able to identify him to the police. He rummaged around behind the counter, stuffing money in his grocery bags, before coming to stand behind the teller that had been handling my transaction. Only then did he realize I was standing there staring at him. I hadn't seen it before, but in his right hand, he held a small gun and pointed it at my face, telling me to get down on the floor. I don't know what the crap I was thinking, but I was mad. You know, when you were a teenager, and if you were really mad, you slammed your bedroom door, but if you were mad and wanted to be passive-aggressive, you close it hard enough so that your parents knew you're mad, but not too hard so you can say you didn't mean to. I don't know why. Because of being level-headed so far, I wasn't thinking in this moment, but I passive-aggressively took my purse from the ledge, dropped it onto the floor, and plopped down next to it. Thankfully, he was too busy stealing everyone's money to notice my foolishness. As I was sitting there waiting for him to leave, I realized he couldn't see me and started debating whether or not to call the cops. But I remember seeing one of the tellers put her hand under the ledge and figured she had pushed the emergency button. I also didn't know what the man would do next and figured it'd be better if he didn't see a phone in my hand. When he was done, he jumped back over the counter and ran out the front door and made his getaway on a bicycle. Side note, he wasn't even a good robber. I mean, his disguise fell off and he escaped on a bicycle? What is wrong with? How can a person be that? Has he ever watched a fucking crime show? Just wow, just fucking wow. Lamest heist ever. The cops were there in moments. I ended up staying over an hour, writing what I saw and verbally explaining to the cops what I saw. I don't want to jeopardize the investigation because, as far as I know, he hasn't been caught yet. But before the man escaped, something fell from his pocket, and I'm hoping it can be used in finding him. I want it to be noted that when stuff like this happens, people rarely think about the tellers. Those women were terrified but incredibly brave, and I think that should be recognized. So not your typical creeper story, but he was definitely a creep, and is someone I hope never to see again. Super strange bank encounter. This happened to me last night and came off as very creepy, but maybe I read too many Let's Not Meet stories. Let me preface by saying I am 6 feet tall and about 220 pounds male. I am not usually intimidated or creeped out by most people. So last night, on my way home from work, which is around 11 p.m., I stopped at my bank to put in my check. Let me just also preface that I live in a fairly large city in Canada. That is basically a big suburbish area. Anyway, I went and did my banking and walked back to the car where I was finishing eating a sandwich I had purchased on my way home. Suddenly, Someone knocks on my driver's side window. It startles me, and I look up to see a middle-aged woman standing there. I finish my bite of sandwich and roll down the window. She says, "Excuse me, how do I get to Smith Street? Is it near here?" I had not heard of the road, so I grab my phone and put it on the GPS. She then says, "Yeah, my phone's dead, or I would have done the same. I've been riding around all night looking for this road," as she points to her bike. The GPS finally finds the road, and it's nowhere near where we are. I show her on the map, and she randomly says it's freezing out here. It being July, the temperature even at night is far from freezing. She then proceeds to ask me to take her to the location. I found two things wrong with this. One, this woman is going to get in a car with some guy she met in a parking lot at 11 p.m. And two, I was not going that way anyway, so no dice. I told her, sorry, I'm going the other way, and she gave me this strange look of almost utter disappointment. As she gave me this look, I lied and said I had to be at work soon anyways. She then goes, no, it's fine. So to get her out of my hair, I show her on my phone how to go about getting there, and say on a bike it really isn't that far of a ride. She says, okay, thanks, and walks away. As I start my car to leave, I see her walking up to another woman who is just leaving the bank. I roll down my window out of curiosity to hear what she is saying. To my dismay, she is giving the exact same speech to the lady, even asking directions on how to get there, in which I had previously given her a minute ago. I sat there and waited to ensure the wand did not let the bike lady into her car, and then drove off. I am still trying to figure out her intentions. Maybe she did just want a ride, but the way she reacted to me saying no and just her general demeanor was off. Either way, creepy bike lady, let's not meet again. Creepy bank employee. Back for yet another creepy encounter. This occurred at my bank last year, before I went studying abroad. I had to have an appointment with a bank employee to let them know that I was going to be out of the country for an extended period of time. Some background. This employee, we'll call him Dan, is someone I had known was creepy because of how he was inappropriate while helping my friend with her account transactions. I went in for a consultation with her because it was on the way of us going to the beach one day, and instead of acting professional like most employees, Dan decided to flirt with us and try to convince us to purchase a Victoria's Secret credit card to maintain good credit, and how he would love to be there for that. Okay, dude, whatever you say. We sort of just laughed it off and were awkward. However, as weeks went by, he continually tracked my friend's purchases and used her account information to get her phone number and text her and even invite her out. Which is so not okay. Dan continued this until she eventually canceled her account with that bank and opened another one at Bank of America. He was never reported. She didn't want anything to do with it, and she blocked his number. Fast forward to last year, when I had to go in and meet with a bank employee. I walked through the door, and lo and behold, it's creepy Dan. Great, I was alone, and even though there were plenty of bank employees around, we were in his cubicle, and since I was traveling to Europe, and he was Spanish or something, he started asking me how to say inappropriate words in Spanish like balls and vagina. All that extremely creepy stuff. He asked for my email address, and I said I didn't have one. He asked for my phone number, and I said I was studying abroad. I had discontinued service. He then asked me if I had plans that night, and if I ever opened a VS credit card, because he'd really like to see my friend and I model something for him together. Ew, this guy had a kid, mentioned it even, was mid-30s and a bank manager. Why me? I quickly hurried out and decided to report him, but eventually slipped my mind since I was leaving the country in 3 days. I actually went into the bank last week to find a lot of new staff and remodeling, and talked to one of the bank teller associates and asked if they had changed staff due to any reason. I mentioned that there were a couple of creepy dudes. Dan had a creepy friend named Steve that also worked at the bank and was equally disgusting, that were texting my friend and acting unprofessional and inappropriate. The bank teller said that he had them fired due to a complaint that a young girl had been harassed and texted and basically bank stalked by Dan. Thank God Dan's fired. I can only imagine how many girls he might have harassed or done even more to. Do your job. Don't make your customers feel uncomfortable or unsafe around you. And for the love of God, stop being creepy.